Good afternoon. Um, like Wendy, I grew up in a very abusive environment. Um, Taught me to think that violence was a way of dealing with problems, getting your respect. Um, it became normal to me, so I thought with the cultural influences, I got in the gangs, and that created a bad way of destructive behavior that led me to getting in a fight, and another person got hurt from another person, which was a self-defense situation. But because I didn't testify, they ended up giving me 16 years to life in prison. So my mentality even then was I had to own up to it, and as much as I could understand it, I thought fighting was normal, and I thought it was just going to be a normal fight. In California, it's the felony murder rule, and you can be sentenced to life in prison under the aiding and abetting. And so I had this pessimistic view living in prison, thinking that I'll never get out. And I ended up getting a life sentence on top of another life sentence in maximum security housing, which allowed me to sit in my cell for 8 hours a day, or sometimes even 12 hours a day, just studying philosophy, psychology, history, languages. And I came across this passage from Nietzsche that said, "For thou hast had a bad day, but still see that a worse evening does not overtake thee." And why he wrote that was when he entered into the German prisons, he seen all his fellow German just sitting around, not really trying to do anything with their lives. And so he talked about the Übermensch, which under my interpretation was to try to be the best person that you can be. And so during that time, I was studying the Bible. And when I came across the subject today, where we're to speak of hope and optimism, hope to me, in my opinion, is the main component to one of the main components to a successful prayer. And because I had hope, became optimistic, believed that I'd get out, I ended up getting out. I visualized a lot of things, and everything I visualized, everything I hoped for has come. And I was sitting in the audience and having the philosopher stand here and talk about deep hope. I mean, to be in there telling 50 other lifers, I'm not gonna be dying in prison, I'm gonna end up getting out. That's deep hope, especially when it comes out your mouth. But I'm a strong believer of curse and blessings. Rather than curse my life, I'd rather bless my life. And I believe if you think it, you're gonna behave it. And if you behave it, it's gonna become an attitude. And because of that attitude, it allowed me not to think that I know it all, but even though when I was young, I knew I didn't know nothing at all, I was uneducated, I want to live my life that I don't know it at all, and I want to learn. And so when I came across the Actors Gang, I took it, I went with it. They even asked me to put makeup on. The men call it man cake. And it's a humbling experience. And there's things that, such as we live by a motto in the Actors Gang, which is we're a master of our thoughts, not a victim of our minds. And I talk with my girlfriend about that all the time, where when we're in discussions, it took a long time to become that person that I was. It took around a good 10 years to become the person I was. But it took 22 years of my incarceration to make me the person that I am today. And so transformation in this magnitude isn't a revolution, but an evolution. And so with the Actors Gang, allowing me to witness anger, allowing me to witness fear, sadness, and happiness. And as you looked in the video, happiness and anger is easy to accept in prison, but when it comes to fear, when it comes to sadness, we live this machismo thing in prison, and it's looked down upon amongst men. But actually, in some cultures too, it's also looked as machismo, but the real machismo accepts those emotions. We'll change the kids' diapers, we'll cook. And so when it came to the Actors Gang allowing me to face fear, acknowledge sadness, it made me more humane. It made me more human. So when I have to cry, I'd cry. And that's it's processing those emotions. It's not allowing me to be numb with things that are going on, because suffering, it's inevitable. You're gonna witness broken relationships, you're gonna witness death, you're gonna witness losing a job. But now, when I deal with these things, I mean, there's a lot of things that are not just dealing with your emotions, but like Chris Bingley was saying, it's understanding how to work as a team too, that helped me to survive out here in society for the last 2 years and helped me to be successful, because in the Actors Gang, you better just be ready to pick up the slack. You better be ready to pick up the slack. And because I was able to pick up the slack, it allowed me to get into a union in construction, allowed me to be successful in the construction field, and made me humble to accept the teachings of other people. And I'm very grateful for the Actors Gang for allowing me to be a student. And I look forward to having some more engagements like this. Thank you.
These are the people we're incarcerating for ridiculous amounts of time. Why? We have to stop. And let's not allow what's happening in DC to let us go back to tough on crime. It never worked, and it will never work. This is what works.